In this video I will compare NightDive's remaster of Turok 3 to the Nintendo 64 version and the emulator version. I should point out that all footage recorded from the remaster is while the game is in beta. I was lucky enough to get a review copy of the game, so the final version may look slightly different to the one in my video. I'm mostly going to compare this to the game running on the Project64 emulator, and that's because the best output from the Nintendo 64 is 640 pixels by 480 pixels, so I think that it's better to compare this to the best possible picture, and at the minute that's the game running on emulator. So let's go ahead and get started with the comparison, and the first thing I noticed was the game's intro. The acclaim text has been completely redone. It's looking really nice in the chrome, bold chrome lettering, and the iguana has been given a makeover too. It looks like it's been, this whole scene just been re-rendered at a higher frames per second and just remodeled, it almost looks like, as well. They've done a really nice job here. Also, we get some remastered artwork for the title screen, which I love. Haven't actually seen any more artwork for like the cover art or anything yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that too. Jumping into the game now, what we find in this remaster is a lot of handmade textures and also new geometry. For example, on these pipes, they've been remodeled really. Before they're kind of angular and really low poly, but in the remaster we get some nice curves and just more, I suppose, more vertices and more shape to these pipes. But I think what really brings the game to life is the movement. Once you actually see this game in motion, it just looks so much better than the original. Another thing we see in the remaster is the cutscenes have been redone. So for example, this one, the character turns his back to you. He never looks at you, and you never actually get to see what this guy actually looks like. But in the remaster, the character will actually turn and look to you. So they've just improved little things like that, and we see examples of this throughout the game in the different cutscenes. Coming up into the street, we see some new lighting has been added. There's just nice lighting throughout the game. The Kex engine's well known for that. And we find our first body does not disappear. That's a big thing with Turok 3. Bodies would disappear to save memory, and the Nintendo 64 just couldn't handle that. But also you'll see that there's some furniture. There's a body just floating up in the air there. This alleyway looks really empty, but in the remaster you see they've added some extra furniture. So basically, extra dumpster, 10 out of 10. But we also get some really nice shadow effects. You see your character's shadow as well. And this area just feels like it has so much more atmosphere now. So here is some of the first Nintendo 64 footage. I couldn't get my capture card to record the wider screen for some reason. But yeah, it's pretty blurry. And as you can see, the windows at the top there have been replaced with really nice new textures. And more geometry has been added. For example, on the clock, it sits out a little bit more. The windows are kind of pushed back in just to give a bit more of a 3D feel to the buildings. And they haven't gone too over the top. Like, these textures would have been added had they been able to add them, but the Nintendo 64 cartridge just wouldn't have accepted them, just wouldn't have fit on the cartridge. So these textures don't feel out of place, and I really like that kind of little reflection you get in the image. It looks really nice. So next up is the just a small cutscene here with a couple of civilians. These get replaced with guards, and we get the walker in the background. I actually thought that we would be able to get into this because of the way the doors open like that. It's pretty cool. It's just nice to add a little bit of extra furniture, I guess, around the area. And this is just showing the game in motion. A little bit laggy in this scene. You can see it's much smoother in the remaster, and the body doesn't just float up in the sky. Same with this zombie here. Kill him, body floats up in the air, and you can just see it's just so much smoother in the remaster as well. So they have actually added some new areas, or like reconfigured the map in some ways. I don't want to spoil some of these changes for you, but I will show you one small change to give you an example of what to expect. So in this car park in the original, there's nothing here, whereas in the remaster, they've added a small tunnel which leads to a couple of life Force collectibles. So it's just nice little things to kind of catch you off guard. Like I'll be playing it and I'm sort of like, was this here before? Like I'm questioning myself, and it's nice to see little things like this to look out for. But they've reconfigured this start area. For example, in the original, this building was basically a shell of a building, and the life force gems were just kind of all clustered. Well, that's the way out of the level, or out of this section, and they're all just like clustered here, but they are hidden a little bit better, and you kind of have to explore a little bit more in this area, which is nice. It always felt a little bit empty to me, this part, so they've kind of added a couple of things to look out for, and you'll see this building is fleshed out a lot more. If you climb up where you thought to get out of the level, it just leads to a dead end, and this stumped me for a while whenever I was playing this, so I completely wasn't sure how to get out of this first bit. But it's nice that they've changed things around a little bit, and it lets you explore a little bit more. Also, just another one to point out, on the main road, it's just like a flat road in the original. However, in the remaster, they've blown a big hole in the middle of it, just again to add this little bit more detail. So it's nice to see that they've actually added extra geometry and remodeled areas and changed things around a little. So this jump to level 2 and this nice big painted door. I'm just showing another example of the handcrafted textures in the remaster. But again, it's not always just about adding new textures, which is difficult and painstaking work. But sometimes they've actually remodeled sections like this too. So instead of just putting a nicer sandbag texture on, they've actually physically modeled sandbags. And these little details add a lot to the game, I think. It sort of modernizes it a wee bit without going too far and making it a full remake. And for this section, I tried to get as much footage from the Nintendo 64, the emulator, and the remaster as possible, and just sort of show them side by side. So these are some of the computer rooms in level 2. I think the lighting always pops a little bit more in the remaster. This is the control dish. The fog is slightly removed. It's not completely removed. So it still has that foggy atmosphere, which is quite nice. I've retained that. But again, just lighting looks a lot nicer. So this is inside the base now. I was trying to show off this lighthouse outside. The fog's removed a decent bit here. And again, just some more of the consoles from inside the control room. I did like the globe on the remaster. They've really improved the geometry here. The original one's quite jagged and low poly, but they actually took the time to model that new nice round globe. Again, here's some more Nintendo 64 footage, and I'll just flick quickly between the emulator and the remaster here. So again, I think in areas like this, it's mostly about the lighting, to me, just looks a good bit better, but also there's handcrafted textures here. Possibly some of this could have been AI upscaled, but I think a lot of it was handcrafted because you just can't really get AI to do everything, at least not yet. So for my comparison video, I also wanted to take a look at Chapter 4 Echoes of the Past, and this is basically in some ways a remake of Turok 1. This is like the start level from Turok 1. So I wanted to see how that would look. I think actually eventually I'll compare it to Turok 1, the remaster of it. But here I just wanted to show you guys the comparison in how the game plays at this point. The lighting again, the Kex engine seems to like just have like some sort of lighting that's coming from above the tree canopy, so everything looks a lot brighter, and you just get this effect that the sun is just kind of going through the leaves, and it does look like a really nice effect. In the original, the jungle floor just looks kind of flat and just empty. I think it's probably because the bodies all disappear, but also in the remaster you have these really nice little sunspots all over the floor, and the bodies all kind of pile up, and you've got this really gory blood all over the floor. The two versions to me just feel and play completely different. So in this section I'll just go for a walk, just a straight walk through the jungle in the original and in the remaster. The one thing I'll say, like, there's some nice hand painted textures here, by the way, the vines and things, and just the general floor of the jungle again. Just the texture there just looks a lot nicer. But the one thing I'll say is it's a little bit slow. Like, this has nothing to do with the remaster, it's just how the game is. Because what I'll do now is I'll just quickly show you what this looked like on Turok 1. And it was really noticeable to me, the pace on Turok 3 when I was playing it. It just felt so much slower than Turok 1. But that's nothing to do with the remaster, I just thought I'd mention that. A few other things to mention about this first area. I really like how NightDive added this like broken button, just as a throwback to Turok 1, how they had the button there. The original version of the game didn't actually have that, which was a missed opportunity, but a nice touch that NightDive put in. And the game is full of little things like this, just nice little touches that weren't in the original. I won't spoil all of them, but I'll let you guys look for them yourselves. There is one huge difference that I love NightDive added to this part of the game, and it is a bit of a spoiler, so if you guys plan to play this yourself and you don't want any spoilers, you should probably stop watching the video at this point. But what I absolutely love is that they added the new section from the Turok 1 remaster into Turok 3. This is a really nice homage to the Turok 1 remaster, and I actually, when I was playing this for the first time, I was like, oh, I forgot that this section was in Turok 3, or I didn't know that this was here. But then I went back and played the original and realized, oh no, it's not there. This is actually completely new section that was not in the original Turok 3, and it actually wasn't even in the original Turok 1. But NightDive added it into the remaster, so it's really cool to see this little area get added. Another nice homage, and fits perfectly actually. Like, I genuinely thought that this was actually part of Turok 3. I actually started convincing myself that maybe this is where NightDive lifted this area and put it into the remaster of 1, but no, it turns out that it was never there in the original Turok 3. So that's it for my comparison. I think NightDive have done a fantastic job with this remaster, and if you're a Turok fan, a Turok 3 fan, I think you owe it to yourself to play this. It's definitely the best way to play the game right now. I also have a review of this game on my channel if you want to know a little bit more about it, and I have a full playthrough of the game too, so I'll put them on screen now if you want to watch them. I want to thank NightDive for giving me the review code. I've had a lot of fun playing it. And thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in another video.